Okay, so it's the next morning. I didn't completely pay attention to the news. I woke up at like 7:10, which once you miss the first 10 minutes of the news, you're kind of lost. Why do my eyes look like, I know the TV screen and everything, but it usually doesn't look like that. I'm really confused about what's going on with the thing in Israel and Palestine right now, because I wake up and there's a ceasefire. And yesterday I was watching, I thought it was BBC News, I was watching some report, and they were asking people, and the people were like they didn't want to cease fire because that'll somehow make it worse. I think they were talking to Palestinians. Let me check something. So yeah, I'm seeing Palestinians jumping up and down celebrating this ceasefire, and I'm really confused because I never understand who starts this stuff. I never understand what the new thing was that started it. They just tell you in the news that there's bombing again and they're bombing each other. You know? That's why I said in another video that this wars and these fighting, this has been going on for hundreds of years. I'm not just talking about how long Israel's been there. I'm talking about Abraham's kids. You know? This is all coming from Isaac and Ishmael. And in the end, they're brothers. So when I see stuff going on all the time, I can't understand it. I looked again. I try to read, look on a video, see what their beef is with each other all the time. And it's the same old beef going back to supposedly when Israel became. Like I said, I didn't completely understand that. But when you go and look at people on Twitter, the two sides and everybody fighting, one side seems fair and one side does not. One side seems way more racist than the other side. And I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. All this hatred and stuff like that. Bomb, bomb, bomb. And then all of a sudden, oh no, there's a ceasefire. Everything is like this right now. It's like there's pandemic, we're going to be locked down forever. Oh no, wait, everybody open up. My own life is confusing. I don't know what to do with my own life. But when I look in the outside world, supposedly things are getting back to normal. Supposedly, and I know that's not a word, supposedly, we're all just supposed to snap back to who we were over a year ago. And it's like so much has happened, so much is going on. Then you have stuff like this and you think, okay, this is the conflict that was going on. And to me, that was proof, okay, things are changing. There is something up in the world, in the universe. And all of a sudden it's like, no, it's not, ceasefire. And just now when I watched the video, it was Jewish people, Israelis who were saying they didn't think the ceasefire was going to last. Or they weren't in favor of the ceasefire. And I'm just like, I would have thought it would have been the other ones, the Palestinians, because they were the ones really getting killed a lot. I'm not saying there were no Jewish people. I mean, Israelis, I don't even know what I'm supposed to say. Israelis getting killed. But they were the ones taking most of it. They were the ones getting, normal houses or apartment buildings or whatever bombed and everything. And, they bombed the building that had all those news outlets in it. This whole thing we've been going through, this whole thing the world has been going through, I would call them the troubles, meaning the tribulations, not the troubles. Like, well, it's all the same thing. It's people fighting who fight to fight, who have age-old grudges against each other. And in a time like this, when they pop up, and you're just hearing Jerusalem and Bethlehem, and you're just saying to yourself, is this it? And then like, oh no, never mind. I don't feel stable. I don't feel like the world is stable. I am one with the world. I am not a person. I in a way, I admire the people who cannot pay attention to the news, who could just do their life and, you know, take care of their families, go to work, cash their checks, mind their own business. I've never been that. My brain has always been out in the world. You know what I mean? So to some degree, I don't handle my own stuff because maybe this is the problem. What do they call it? There's two different kinds of thinking, right? What am I trying to say? Something big. I don't. Big picture. I always think about the big picture, so I don't handle my own little picture. Why? I really don't understand. Like the super reflection. You know, like when you take a picture of a picture of a picture. I don't know why it's making that look like that. It's distracting me. But and then de Blasio tweeted something about some kind of, I guess, a Jewish man got attacked in Times Square by a gang, and then the replies were saying that was going on all week, which I assumed, like, when they were doing the things over there, and in the case of the Palestinians, it always seems like they're the underdog in this, like they're, you know, they got their little bits of, you know, bombs and stuff against a huge power. So I said to myself, well, if this continues and Israel keeps doing this, won't violence against Jews break out around the rest of the world? You know, which I guess is happening or happened. I have so many ideas in my head and I keep shuffling because I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to understand. Because we've been divided by this race thing again. We've been divided by all this stuff, and there are all these groups always marching. I know that there were marches for the Palestinian people in various big cities. I know that people on the left very much see Zionists as bad guys. I know that Gal Gadot, the actress, was almost being canceled by people for the things she said. I read yesterday that Bella Hadid, I think this woman is a model. I don't know who she is. I guess she's from Palestine or Palestinian descent, and she was in a march, and what I gather from Twitter is that she was removed from one of her contracts for Dior or something like that because she's been vocal. And it's just this thing, what you're reading on social media, what you're seeing on the news tells you nothing. News hasn't, this is why I've been so critical of them, because on top of spinning stories, they also don't tell you the story. And that's been going on for a long time. And I realized that locally with my local newspaper many, many years ago, going to public meetings, coming out and reading the reporting on the meeting I went to and it not matching the meeting I was at. A local meeting about local stuff. And somehow our local media needed to, and you could tell that the reporter submitted something and it was edited in such a way. There was one, I remember, it was edited so poorly that it looked like the reporter couldn't write. Because they just took chunks out. You know. So this stuff that those of us who are not fans of the mainstream media, we don't just say that because some president told us. This has been going on for a long time. This has been going on since before I was born, I'm sure. A distrust of mainstream media and things like that. But in this case right now, with us being locked in the house and all this time not being able to converse with people in a coffee shop or, you know, get the word on the street unless you're all on Facebook gossiping, which is the worst thing because people can't type. Nobody knows what's going on. It's, it keeps being like, okay, today's the end of the world. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, the end of the world's tomorrow. Oh, no, we're going to reschedule that for next Tuesday. And we're supposed to get back to normal because there's a whole section of the population, the people who I think are the ones that I sort of admire for being able to keep their heads in the sand, but also half despise because it's their fault that the world's a bunch of bullshit because they don't know what's going on and they allow the evildoers and the mess makers behind the scenes to control everything. Those people really were just waiting for the vaccine so they could go back to normal. Those people either did or didn't have the problems of everybody else, but they bought into what they heard from a friend or a friend or a friend, that as soon as we get the vaccine and everybody gets vaccinated, everything's going to be back to normal. So they were just truly waiting for that instead of thinking of all the crap I was thinking about. And you know, so there's going to be an attempt, I think, by most people, maybe the 70% there, who are going to try to go back to normal. I still don't understand how it will. Last week they were saying people weren't getting the vaccine. This week they're saying they are. I don't understand what they're talking about. Pause this while I collect my thought. Okay, so I looked on the BBC News website, and this is what I mean. It says both Israel and Hamas have claimed victory. I guess Egypt is the one who brokered this truce, and they said they're going to send people to monitor it. I wish that I could watch the news I've been watching since I was a kid, and assume they're telling me the truth. Assume they're telling me what's actually happening, not their opinion of it, not any editorial stuff, just this happened at this time and it's true information. I wish I could believe that about any topic. So I don't know anymore. I would like to think that the world outside is stable and stuff, so that if I have to go forward and put one foot in front of the other, it's not going to be on shaky ground. That the world outside at least makes some kind of sense. Nothing has made sense. I talk about money all the time. I don't understand how any economies are still working. The way they've done things, nothing makes sense. I really feel like everybody must be going through the same thing I am in some way, where they just don't know what's going on. But I've never been the kind of person who's okay with that. I've never been the kind of person who somebody says, go stand over there, I just go. I've never been that. I'm like, what do I have to stand over there? I want to know why. I want to know what the purpose of things are. I can't just blindly follow what somebody's saying. That's what I'm saying. The people, I wish I could be them sometimes, but then, like I said, in reality, when I really think about it, I'm like, well, they're the reason things are so messed up. Because they blindly follow. And is that what's going on? Is that what my brain's trying to get me around to? That's what's happening down there too, in the Middle East over there? That they're all just blindly following what they've been told their whole lives? Because I'm right? This is what I thought, or was taught a long time ago, that the Jewish people were descended from Isaac, and the Muslim people were descended from Ishmael. Is that not right? And they were both Abraham's kids. And at some point, somewhere in the Bible, I didn't read the whole thing cover to cover. I read excerpts. I read pieces. But at some point in there, God says, okay, this is I'm giving the land to Abraham. Hey, Abraham, I'm going to give the land to your kids. Which, they're both Abraham's kids. That's why I say this has been going on for thousands of years. Because it's like, no, it's mine. No, it's mine. Meanwhile, world history happened. And then Israel became, because somebody tried to give them a piece of land based on that, right? The Bible, what's supposed to be, but at the time, it belonged to somebody else, and that's the fight. I tried to read something the other day, and somebody was explaining that they were talking about they were going to use a deed from the Ottoman Empire to prove that the land that they were just disputing over, some piece of land, was actually belonged to Israel or something. And I was just like, a deed from the Ottoman Empire? That's I don't understand any of this. And I know both sides think they understand it too. And I know that people on Twitter have been educated this way or that way. Younger folks who want to support a side and think that you have to support a side. But if you really don't know what's going on, and you haven't been paying attention for thousands of years, how can you know what's really... Because I've never trusted history books. You know? I wasn't there. You know, just because somebody tells me something happened, I don't need to disbelieve it, but I don't need to believe it either. It could have happened or it couldn't have happened. I'm not going to kill somebody over something somebody told me. I'm not going to kill somebody over something that happened centuries before I was born. So it's hard for me to understand. And now this has made no sense at all. But none of this is making sense to me. This is why I'm not making sense. I'm trying to understand. But like I said, I woke up this morning, they're like, ceasefire. I'm like, wait, what? Because last night, I believe I was watching BBC News. And now that I look, it must have been. I thought it was Palestinians saying they didn't want a ceasefire. Now, it looks like it would have been Israelis saying that they didn't want a ceasefire. That's why I can't wrap my head around this thing. I'm not a person who takes sides, but everybody's like, you have to. And I think it's the same people who think you have to take a side, blue or red, pronouns or no pronouns, you know, all that. It's all this tribal, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys stuff that I've never taken part in. And this is what I'm saying. I understand the world less and less because it seems like stuff that I thought was gone in generations before I came to be. I thought all this kind of crap of people having to stick to their own kind and, you know, hating the other, I thought that was from before I was born. So this is what I mean. I don't know what the hell's going on. I do not feel grounded in this reality. And I don't 100% think I want to be. I'm not going to fix the audio. This is just my ramblings again, so I'm sorry.